Shalom and welcome. This is 2 minutes of Torah. This week, with Parashat Vaetchanan, we encounter for the second time in our annual reading with the Big Ten, Aseret Adivrot, the 10 sayings that we usually translate as the 10 commandments. And as you probably know, there are some differences in the way these 10 commandments are presented vis-a-vis the ones that we read about in the book of Exodus when the people were at Mount Sinai. This time around, Moses is remembering what happened at Sinai and telling the people the 10 commandments. It wouldn't be that surprising that as Moshe is speaking to the people, he will not quote each one of the 10 commandments exactly as they were said or as they appear in the book of Exodus. He is not reading from a prompter, he's just speaking to the people. So if God said, remember Shabbat, or God said, keep Shabbat, it wouldn't be that surprising. However, the real surprising part that we usually don't talk much about is that, particularly with Shabbat, a totally different reason for why we have Shabbat to begin with is given. While in the book of Exodus, we have Shabbat because God created the world in 6 days and He rested on the seventh. In this week's Parsha, the reason for Shabbat is because you have to remember that you were a slave in Egypt. You remember what it was to live a life in which you never have a day off, so you shouldn't work, your family shouldn't work, your servants shouldn't work, your animals should not work on that day. Remember, you were a slave in Egypt. Very, very different reasons that speak not just about Moshe not having a perfect memory of the events of Sinai, but actually more about how the people had grown from a life that is just God-centered to a life of a people who are about to enter into their land, and they understand that they need to create a tradition that will be relevant for the society that they are building. Without a society that reflects the values of our tradition, there is nothing. A tradition that is only centered in a relationship with God and not in the kind of community that they can build within that commitment to God with a reality that surrounds them is not that important. That's why from that God rested on Shabbat to remember how it was to be a slave. Make sure that you create a society in which everybody feels a free human being or even a free animal in a particular way. Is an important message from this week, Parasha. Looking forward to seeing you this Shabbat. Have a great week.